marijuana legalization also ushers in the return of the American hemp industry. Get the latest news from the author of Hempbound and Too High to Fail, Doug Fine, in our Hempday Humpday update.
Welcome back, everybody. Half past the hour, time for us to dial out to the Goat Ranch in New Mexico, where our friend Doug Fine is waiting for us for our Hempday Humpday update. Doug is the author of Hempbound and Too High to Fail, the New York Times bestseller. We go to him in New Mexico. Doug, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, fantastic. Glad to hear from you. And welcome to our Hempday Humpday. It's a lot of great news going on in the world of hemp this past couple of weeks, huh?
A lot of huge news as well as the nitty-gritty. We're getting into this, and what's emerging is there's no question that the prognostications that have predicted the hemp industry to be a huge one and fast-growing out of the gate are accurate. Just seeing the growth in the number of applications in Kentucky between 2013 2014, I'm one of more than 300 applications into the state of Kentucky for this year, and this is before full commercial legalization, although that has been introduced in a bipartisan effort in the U.S. Congress. So there's a lot happening, but a lot of nitty-gritty sort of the real work that involves getting an industry going, let alone an agricultural industry, to talk about, Russ.
Right. We had reported earlier in the news that Colorado, Vermont, and Kentucky have actually planted hemp crops. Today, the state of Oregon is beginning to take their applications for spring planting. Let's just go state by state and tell us what's the prognosis here for hemp farming.
Sure. Okay. Well, I'm really interested in, a lot of states, but one of the states that I have a project in is in Oregon this year that I'm involved with, and it's been really interesting. I've been out there a number of times over the last few weeks to be involved in the process as the state's regulations get implemented, the real rules. This is after you pass a state law. Getting those rules passed so that you're in sync with federal law and figuring out how it's all done, it's work. So I'm convinced that the players involved on the state level in Oregon who are involved in the regulations this year, that they really do want the industry to launch successfully. And the regulations, no set of regulations are going to be perfect, but I think Ron Pence and the others in Oregon Department of Agriculture are doing their best. But what we're seeing now, just to give you, I'll give you two quick examples of the real work that has to happen even when you have farmers ready to go and regulations in place. Where are the farmers going to get the seed this year? And these are big issues, and I think we're going to resolve them. But it's not that easy, and it's not just about federal law. In fact, federal agencies are apparently going to help when programs are in sync with our current federal farm bill provision, Section 7606. It's more about the tension between right to grow, farmers' right to grow, and breeders sort of wanting to protect their investments and their development efforts and nitty-gritty like that. Oregon, to give a second example, what Oregon has to deal with, Oregon has to have some legislative fixes to its 2009 hemp law to even allow farmers to grow for what is the big, most profitable market in North America these days, which is seed oil, byproducts, flowers, that kind of thing. That actually needs to be added, and there's great legislators like Senator Floyd Brzezinski in Oregon working on that to make it happen, and the state ag department is saying we will implement those changes within 45 days if they come. So a lot of fingers crossed on a lot of levels in Oregon, but people there are dedicated to it, and it's going to happen. I predict a successful debut season. Meanwhile, Kentucky, a bit ahead of the game. They're now getting into their second season, expanding from just a half dozen projects last year to, we'll see how many they wind up approving any day now of the more than 300 applications. Kentuckians are ready to go. It's in the cultural heritage there, and in fact, it's Kentucky and Oregon federal legislators who are reintroducing the Industrial Hemp Farming Act of 2015, which is vital. It's introduced in Congress, and it needs to be supported. How about I move to a little bit of a wild card here, my own New Mexico, the land of enchantment. We have S94 introduced. It's going to be a bit of an uphill battle. We have a governor right now that isn't very friendly to some ideas that folks want to see implemented along these lines. Well, there's no official word of support or otherwise on this S94. It does have bipartisan support in the legislature, in the New Mexico State Legislature, and I and a lot of other people are working hard on that so that land and chairman farmers can get this plant back in the soil and start earning that big money that we are seeing Canadian farmers enjoying right out of the ground for hemp. Profit right out of the ground. Of course, it's research now, but Kentucky is allowing its farmers to do sales and marketing research, so that's good, and we will hopefully see commercial legalization. Colorado looks to grow again this year. When I say grow, I mean grow in size from its previous year. Colorado is doing things differently, and more power to them. I partly because I have young children, I really like the idea of unfolding in any state that I'm involved in, and this would be New Mexico, Oregon, and Kentucky for this season, unfolding completely in sync with all federal and state laws. You know, having nice DEA stamps on the seed sources and all that kind of stuff is the goal. Colorado does it a different way, as we know with psychoactive cannabis. They've legalized social adult use of cannabis, all forms of cannabis, including hemp, by constitutional amendment. That is not a legislative thing. That is in their constitution now. And so farmers are growing, and there's a don't ask, don't tell policy on the seeds. And, you know, that we may wind up looking back on that and being very thankful in terms of domestic seed sources being regrown. But it's leading to interesting, sometimes complicated questions. For instance, if one does want to play in that world of seed certification, pedigreed seed, all that kind of stuff, certified seeds that go along with the European and North American seed certification agencies, there's a process where you have to know what your source is originally and follow it. That said, Americans developed seed stock and a world-leading industry without such kind of rules in the past, and they became uniform, and it worked out just fine. So I'm glad that there's another mode going on in Colorado, especially since the whole dang thing's going to be legal pretty soon. The other side of it is, from what I understand, Colorado last year had something that Canadians have not had in their 16-year industry that this year is going to cross $1 billion in value. I was keynoting the Canadian Hemp Trade Alliance this year, and the growth curve is only up double-digit growth. I like to joke largely through my family's morning shake because we put so much hemp seed oil in it, but it's everybody discovering this true omega melon superfood, as well as all the nutraceutical applications and the fiber and the potential for energy independence from biomass gasification and other sources. That's really causing this industry to be growing hugely. We talked about supercapacitors, hemp-based batteries for next-generation batteries on our last Humpday, Russ. So, but what Colorado is evidently having is some test results on certification for THC showing higher than the 1% that is allowed for research purposes according to their program. That's never happened in Canada, and I think what's happening is folks are reading down from psychoactive strains of cannabis to try to approach what today we define as hemp for various reasons, not least of which nutraceutical and medicinal. And I'm absolutely fine with that. It's not in sync with federal law, but nothing Colorado is doing, or not much Colorado is doing in the cannabis world is. So it's a very interesting dynamic to watch. And just a shout out to Washington, which is working hard on its regulations, Hawaii, which flew a hemp flag this week and is in a very limited way getting hemp going, and Tennessee, which is soliciting applications from its farmers this year. So I'm excited about that, and also a shout out to my hemp farmer friends in Vermont. Hope you have a big year there. Oh, and my native state of New York passed hemp legislation. We could see Empire State farmers in upstate New York healing the soil and profiting from hemp. Why am I so excited about it? Because 1% of Americans are farming today, compared to 30% when hemp prohibition started in 1937. It's time to make hemp profitable again, and that's the tri-cropping theme in Hempbound, which I'm preaching all over the world and trying to implement in Kentucky this year. Processing for seed, flower, fiber, and energy, one plant, one facility in a community that helps value-added profit to communities. So we get farming communities making money from agriculture again.
All right. The great update. Hemp is spreading like a weed all across America. Got a couple quick questions from our chat room. This one's, one of the basic get right down to it questions. Does it matter if hemp is male or female?
That is an outstanding question. The answer is it depends on what you're growing for. So If you are looking for seed crops are going to have both, dioecious crop, as they call it, and the seeds are only going to be provided by the female. We can get into a lot of nuances on things like feminized seeds and all that jazz. I tend to err on the side of natural, traditional, organic, those kind of modes. And so I like the idea of real sexual breeding out there and creating your seed. And so in those cases, yes. When it comes to fiber, there are uses for, the architecture of the hemp plant described in Hempbound, you can find also listings on the internet. It's a really interesting plant, and just strictly on the fiber side, tri-cropping addresses seed/flower as one leg, fiber as another, and energy as the third. Within fiber, there's two types of fiber. There's the hurd, that's sort of the hard core that can be used in things like construction. A lot of uses actually for the hurd. Construction, horse bedding, and quite a number of other applications. But the long, stringy, bast fiber, famously stronger than steel in today's BMWs and Mercedes door panels and tomorrow's batteries, different qualities will come from males and females as well as from different cultivars, and potentially all of them have uses. So it depends on what applications you are growing for. One of the reasons China is a leader in textiles is that it has human labor, not machines, stripping and separating the genders and stripping the sort of thinner, wispier, silkier male fibers for some textile applications, and the females for other applications. So it's a huge world of new applications becoming available all the time, and I'm trusting to American and human ingenuity to make the best of it and take it to the next level as this industry grows by double digits every year, starting already.
All right. Well, if you've got questions for Doug Fine on the world of industrial hemp, Doug, where can they get in touch with you?
A couple of ways, and folks, please grab your pencil or type these things in, because possibly by next Hempday, Humpday, but certainly by the one after that, as we do these every other week here, we'll have an announcement on a new project called First Legal Harvest, and it's an essay that I've put together with images printed on hemp paper, partly U.S.-grown hemp paper from 3 states last year, thanks to friends and colleagues and farmers in Colorado, Kentucky, and Vermont for contributing their fiber to this project. And it's going to describe harvest that I was at last year from Slovenia to Kentucky to Colorado, but also the cool applications that we're already seeing, including supercapacitors and nutraceuticals and next generation issues, these right to grow issues that we have to deal with, the genetics issues of rebuilding our seed stock. So I hope it to be both a fun read and a must read, and hopefully also a revolution in published tree-free publishing that benefits the author. And we'll get that announced pretty soon.
All right. Thank Doug. Appreciate that so much. That's all the time we got for our Hempday Hump Day.